Welcome, thank you all for coming. This is our second event at Start Growing this evening, and nice turnout again. Thanks for making it down here. So the guys that are going to be joining us tonight are quite familiar faces if you've been watching the TV show The Entrepreneur. Also, if you drive down Shakes Eye Road, you might have seen one of the judges' faces as well. So it's a pleasure to be joined tonight by the duo on the sofas. We've got one of the people who battled it through over 2,000 people to be crowned winner, and one of the judges as well. So if I can ask you all to put your hands together and welcome our judges this evening, Loulou and Muna. Hello guys, you alright?
Great.
Yeah. Comfortable? Good. Okay, so the idea of tonight is just to get an idea of both of your stories. I know obviously you came together on The Entrepreneur, but there's obviously a lot more to you before the show. So I want to just start off by finding a little bit about each of you. What brought you to where you are today? For you, Loulou, what made you come up with the idea? The journey through the Entrepreneur show? And just really where you're going to be going and what the plans are for the future. So let's crack on today. Right, first of all, Loulou. Right, Nabesh. Well done.
Thank you.
2 million dirhams, I believe.
1 million in cash and 1 million in services.
That's not too bad.
Not bad.
I wouldn't mind. So anyway, sorry, before I forget, the hashtag think ideas. If anyone's got a question, just hashtag in, and throughout the show we can jump to that and ask the questions to the guys. So Nabesh, let's rewind before the show. Beginning of this year, Entrepreneur's not even on anyone's radar. No one really knows what it's about. No one even knows it's going to exist. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What made you come up with the idea? What you were doing, and what made you come here today?
Can you just ask me like 20 questions in one? So I'm going to try to. I'm going to try to tackle them one by one. A little bit about me. I've been living and working in Dubai for 10 years, and I love it. I think it's a great place for entrepreneurship. I think it's a great place for people to progress. And throughout my career, I worked in different fields and different industries. And then my last job was in a VC. And being in a VC got me introduced to the entrepreneurial market that was out there, as well as investors. And I think the scene, maybe like in the past 2 years, has been growing immensely, and there's been a lot of interest in entrepreneurship in general. So it kind of prompted me to become an entrepreneur myself, and I was very interested to see what I was made of. And it's always interesting to see, what you want to do, and you want to challenge yourself, and what is it that you can bring. And this is when I decided to stop working and embark on something. Like there was no Nabesh when I stopped working. So I wanted to see what is it that I wanted to do, and obviously while I was doing that, I realized that I have 10 years of work experience across different industries, and I had no channel to go and say that I would like to do some consulting work and feel productive and make some money.
It's like a
I was even very happy to go help people or entrepreneurs or startups for free. I didn't even want money. I was just really bored sitting at home and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And this is where I realized that why don't I create this marketplace for skills for people such as myself that don't necessarily want to work on a full-time basis, and but they still want to contribute to society. They still want to work, and they still want to make money. So this is how Nabesh started initially.
And what about the name? Nabesh.com?
The name, I wanted something Arabic. Because it is a regional website at the end of the day, but I also didn't want like the very difficult Arabic words that have khah and all those. So I think Nabesh just fell into place, and I thought it's very cool because Nabesh, for the non-Arabic speakers out there, is a verb that means search in Arabic. So creating a skills marketplace means that people can go and search for people with skills, so Nabish just fit the bill.
And obviously the show came about and the applications and that went out there, but what was your plan without going down the route of the entrepreneur? Did you have a plan to set up as a company, trade license? What was the journey there?
Actually, I had set up a company. I had set up a company in Beirut because just it was more financially viable to do so. And then I was in the process of firming up the business plan and going to raise funding when I saw the tweet about the entrepreneur show. And I was like, if this is not a sign, I don't know what is, because it was just about the same time that I wanted to start going and raising funds.
And the rest is
So I
history.
thought, why not? That's and this is something that I learned, like never pass on an opportunity, big or small.
There's signs out there, just to take.
Absolutely.
And over to you, Muna. So I didn't really touch upon about what you do and things, but you're the director for the retail of the Al Gurg group. And you've also got a couple of other things that you look after. So can you just tell the audience a bit about yourself and how you came to become a judge on the show?
So my background was advertising and marketing, and I worked in an ad agency for a while, and then I decided it's time to sort of join the family business. So I come from a family business that's been around for the past 50 years, and I'm the second generation. So this was around 12 years ago, and it was, I came into the business, it was quite traditional in its way of thinking and marketing, so I came in and I sort of had all these new ideas that sometimes I got a lot of opposition for, but it was a challenge, I worked my way up and eventually worked to become head of the retail side of the business. It was a natural progression because I had worked with brands in marketing and advertising for many years. So when it came to the show, this is an interesting story. I got a phone call saying that you have been chosen to be a judge on this show. And I said, what's the show? And they said, The Entrepreneur. And I said, what's this, The Entrepreneur? And they said, it's a business competition and you're going to have to be one of the judges. And I immediately, in the first 1 minute, said yes. And the reason being is that I'm a very big fan of Dragon's Den in the UK. And I sort of envisage myself as being, the James Caan of Dubai. So that was my immediate response. But then later on, when I started to think about the show, I thought, this is a great way to platform ideas, because there is no platform for businesses in the UAE where everyone can have, can sort of look at ideas, analyze, invest, etc. And the first thing that I also said to the person who called me was that, this is actually going to be the start of something really great, and I do hope that in the future the judges that are actually sitting there will be investing their own money, because that would make a real difference. So that was how I got into the show.
As well.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of Dragon's Den as well. I watch it all the time, and I do agree with you. I think that this is a marketplace which is ready to boom, and things like this are just a starting point for entrepreneurs. The show itself, obviously there was over 2,000 applicants. You got to see many ideas. How many actual ideas was it whittled down to, and how many did you get to see to choose to go through to the final selection?
Well, we saw 100 on paper because that's exactly what had happened. They brought it down to 100. There were like a couple of thousand applications, and we saw the last 100 on paper, and then the last 35 came and presented it. So we were literally, like Loulou knows, we were there like from 9 in the morning till like 10 at night, and it was like really, really tiring going through all these applications and people sort of coming, the contestants. And then we had to bring it down to 10, and then later on the last 3, and then the winner.
Actually, unfortunately, I want to add to that is that it's true, like Muna said, we were there from like 8 in the morning till 9 p.m. shooting for like 4 weeks. And then unfortunately, you got to see only 15 minutes of it in every episode. So seriously, there was a lot more of hard work that went into it. Yeah.
And this is, I suppose, the first time that you have got to really speak about before the application process, waiting to hear am I going to be successful, am I not going to be successful?
We were not allowed to speak on the show. So basically we were not allowed to interact other than what you see on television. That's about it. So even if she would say like a little hi or anything, they'd be like, get out, you know. So she wasn't allowed to speak to us.
There was once I spoke to her actually on before the final pitch, because the episode before the final one, she had told me that she wasn't very impressed. And I was like, oh my God, you know, I'm not gonna make it. So I saw her, she was getting her hair done, and I was getting my hair done too. And I was like, hi Muna, how are you? You know, and then trying to feel, you know, to see how she's feeling about it. And then the guys came and they were like, no, you're not allowed to talk, and get out of the room.
So Muna, this is Loulou, and Loulou, this is Muna. So then just tell me a little bit about, from your side, Loulou. The application goes in, and then you're waiting to go through to the next round. What was it that you were thinking? Were you having a backup plan? As obviously Nabesh is now your plan. You're the entrepreneur. You're in the entrepreneur scene, and you're not necessarily knowing if you're going to be successful. Did you have a backup plan as well? You were going to continue trading and progress the business?
If I didn't win the show?
If you didn't get through to the next round, if you weren't successful?
I think, obviously, as I said, my plan was to go and raise funding anyway. But when I got into the show, I think there was no turning back for me. And I think this is one thing as well, I said in one of my pitches to the judges, is that you always try to go into something, you know, with no way back. And from the moment I started until I think we got to the top 10, by the time I got to the top 10, I knew I had a very good chance of winning it, and I worked very hard at achieving that. And yeah, I think by the time we were in the top 10, I don't think I had a plan B, because I knew that this is going to be it.
Give it your all.
There was no way I wasn't going to win.
And Muna, over to you. From the ideas and that you saw, I mean, I watched the show and I saw there was a few crazy characters and a few crazy ideas. Was there anything that you saw, but you believe that you had the vision to see that was going to be a success, but actually the other judges didn't agree with you?
To tell you the truth, we were actually all in agreement most of the time. There were one or two ideas that I didn't like where, you know, the rest did not agree with me. And then I decided at that point that even if these people don't get through to the last three, I would sit and have a meeting with them later on once the show is done, you know, because I was interested in their ideas. So.
And have you done that?
I have with one of them, yes.
And how's it going? Good. Because I think that's something you know, that some of the entrepreneurs in the audience would like to know. If you've got an idea and you want to try and raise that funding, it's one of the biggest steps and hurdles to overcome to actually do anything with your business, because you're not making any money, kind of as a seed capital. Do you get people approaching you with ideas on a regular basis?
I do get approached, but not enough. And again, that's why I believe that there needs to be a sort of a place and a platform for people to come in and, you know, present their ideas. There are not enough in the region. There are a few, obviously, angel investor organizations like Investors and Abraj and the rest of them, but there are not enough in the region. And I think that it's actually the duty of people here to sort of come together, people who have, you know, wealth, come together as, you know, a group to invest in good ideas, to mentor people, to guide business, you know, entrepreneurs out there. So, I mean, I do get approached, going back to your question, I do get approached, but I feel that there are not enough great ideas, you know?
And coming over to Nabesh, I suppose that's really where your skills marketplace lets people go to whilst they're waiting for their big idea to be invested in and get to know the communities. Have you positioned yourself with Nabesh that it's obviously a regional skills marketplace, but have you positioned yourself to kind of be a talent pool as well for entrepreneurs as well as freelancers?
I think Nabesh is a great platform for entrepreneurs, by the way, because as an entrepreneur and knowing how tough it is to be an entrepreneur and the financial problems or issues that you might have, and the need to find the right talent to help you on specific tasks, I think Nabish is perfect in that sense, because it allows you to find people with specific skills, with skills that you need, that you really need, and it allows you to let's say, try or test at a much lower risk than to go ahead and hire those people and get the headcount and you know, and go through all that process. And I think there's a lot of talent out there. And another thing I'm doing with Nabish is that I work with a lot of freelancers from the region. So if you need a specific skill and you can't find it in Dubai, there's no reason why you can't find it in Jordan or in Lebanon or in Egypt. So I think it's great, really. It's for entrepreneurs, it's definitely a tool for them to use to build their businesses, and even it's a place for them to also list their skills and offer their services. So, for instance, I know quite a few entrepreneurs that while they are, you know, building their dream ideas, they would still like to make some money, or maybe work, you know, consult or work on a small project. So this is also a great tool for them. So I think it's a key tool for entrepreneurs.
And just as a quick question, I'm sure some of the people are thinking, and I am as well, how does that actually work as a legal basis? So obviously, I'm a freelancer and I like graphic design. I register my details on your website. How does that work in terms of being paid and all that legally?
I get asked this question all the time, especially because there are a few grey areas, I would say, in the UAE when it comes to freelancing. What I would say to that is that Nabish is not a UAE-based website. Nabish is a regional website. So if you are here, there's nothing stopping you from working with anyone, anywhere. Now, with regards to the UAE, there are a few legal issues that, you know, I'm still trying to get clear answers on, but you know, it's very difficult to get answers on. There are some options whereby you can get a freelance license. So if you're a successful freelancer and you do it for a living, then you can, you know, get a freelance license, and then you can work. And Nabish is a great tool for you to get repeat business, right? And if you're good at what you do, then you're going to get more business and you're going to be able to afford that license.
And so with you, Muna, obviously the route that you've had into the business world has been very different to Loulou. You've had the family backing, if you like, and that kind of journey that was mapped out. How would you say that people should look, who are also part of family groups out here, into the entrepreneur world? Do you think that there's a lack of that belief and that know-how for the entrepreneur market out here?
I think just to go back in terms of how family businesses have been formed in the region, I think typically a family business is like a partnership between a local partner and, let's say, a Western brand, and that's how it all started in the 60s, and it just organically grew that way, and that's why you see just a few you know, family businesses that are sort of monopolizing, you know, the region. Going forward, it's very, very important for family businesses to realize that regulations will change, globalization is coming into the whole equation. I think that it's very important for family businesses to start investing in startups, because that is really the future. So yeah, I believe there needs to be more investment done.
And we touched upon earlier how you said that you don't get approached enough with ideas. I'm sure there's people out here might be emailing you after the show with their great idea. What else are you involved in that, obviously you've got your business, what else are you involved in that people can go to and attend in order to get in the community spirit?
Well, I get involved with a lot of youth, because I think that that's exactly where it all starts. You know, at university level, entrepreneurial ideas need to be injected and sort of, in a way, taught to young people. So I chair an organization called the Young Arab Leaders, where we all, as a network of, let's say, business people, all get together and mentor youth, get involved with a lot of mentorship programs with young people between the ages of 18 to 22. And so I believe it starts with education also. So that's how I also get involved with a lot of entrepreneurial initiatives.
And have you had many I suppose, young Arab entrepreneurs come out of this region and go on to other countries with a successful idea yet?
Very few, very few.
And maybe Nabesh is the first.
Of course.
So just
I wanted to add something on what Muna said, is that it is their responsibility to invest in youth and in startups, and I think we all know the problem of unemployment that we have in this region. I think even on an Emirati level, we have a very, very big problem. So if they don't take all the money and inject it in startups and in ventures that create jobs, then they're ultimately going to suffer.
just let's jump over to the ideas, the think wall over here. One of the questions is, what personality traits did you look for when you were judging the ideas on the show? That's to you, Muna.
Well, one of the main things that we looked for, and that actually Loulou stood out in that way, which was she knew exactly what she wanted, and she was very passionate about Nabesh. So it was quite obvious that even if she did not win the 1 million, she was going to go ahead with that idea. And that's something that really stood out from day one. I was telling Loulou she was quite nervous on the first day, but her communication about the idea really did set her apart from the rest, And also to listen. I feel a person needs to be a good listener. She would actually listen to our feedback, and she would go back and sort of implement whatever we had to say. So passion and being sort of...
Because I think one thing that I got from the show was that it was the first time that anybody was given a chance to actually say, listen to my idea. And people were going and saying, I've got an idea, listen up. Do you think that there'll be more shows than that now that come out of Dubai, following on from that?
I do believe so, and I think that this is just the start. And I think that this show, a lot is going to be learnt from this show. And a lot can come out, new ideas. I think there are a lot of people out there who have already come out to tell me that, what, we've got other ideas that is going to spin off from this sort of media show, and we're going to take it forward with, producers and people like that. So yeah, for sure.
I hope that there will be more shows like that, because it's very public, right? And as an entrepreneur, you need publicity, and publicity is very expensive. So it was, in a sense, free publicity. Aside the money, forget winning or not winning, to actually be on TV and be able to present your idea to millions of people out there is great. So I hope that there would be similar platforms in the future.
And let's just go to now the win. So Nabesh.com is now crowned.
By the way, I didn't know why I won until today. So just you can see that there wasn't really a lot of communication between us on the show. So I'm actually very happy. Thank you.
No, but I think to be honest, it's one of those scenarios where two personalities meet that are very similar, but have got very different journeys to that point of meeting. And now moving forward, you've obviously become the winner of the show. You've got some money in your pocket. What else did you get other than the cash to help you that is going to help and push your business forward?
I mean, a lot. I feel, first of all, obviously, like the relationships that I built through on the show. Like Muna and I, we're now in contact post-show, and we're planning to work on different initiatives together. And I'm not as in touch with the rest of the judges, but I know them, which is great. I got to meet a lot of people who are contestants on the show, so it's also good to see what's out there. I got consulting services, which are great. I have companies like Ernst & Young providing consulting, which is really, you can't really put a cash value on that. It's really good. And we have Leo Burnett, we have Dubai Silicon Oasis, we have Dues support.
Free phone bills?
No, I don't get free phone bills. I don't know why. It makes sense actually,
yeah,
but no, I don't.
So you've got the office now in Silicon Oasis.
Yes.
Have you moved in yet?
Yes.
And what's it like?
It's small. It's good. It's good to have an office. I think it's my first ever office. and it feels great. I feel very proud walking in every day, or 3 days a week, because it's a bit far. And now that there is a team, there's we have a co-founder on board who's also the CTO, and there's like, if you look at the back booth over there, on the third booth, it's all Nebbish team, by the way. So if you have any questions, so it's happy to walk in and see. I mean, for you it must be something you do every day, right? You have a big company, but it's nice to see that there is a team there, and the team is growing, and everyone's excited. And
you feel a real business now. You've got an office.
Yeah.
I think also to add to that, the connections that you built, as you said, is like priceless. You know, she's now got this one-on-one dialogue with, you know, a lot of people like Nisreen Shakir from Virgin, and people get to introduce Loulou to other people they know. So that's just fantastic, I think, you know, for an entrepreneur who's just starting.
And do you think that's one of the biggest keys to becoming a success in the region is the networking and the connections that you'll be making along this route?
No, absolutely. I mean, it's like the advice you get from these people who have like so many years of experience, and they can look at it from a very different perspective. They're looking at it from an outside perspective, whereas she's in it every day. So that kind of advice that she gets from these people is like, I think it's quite, you know.
It's not only here, it's anywhere in the world, really. It's all about the people you know and the connections that you make. But it's also about, obviously it has a lot to do with the idea and the business itself. So no, what I'm trying to say is that I don't want people to think that, if you don't know half of Dubai, then you're not going to succeed.
No, obviously. I don't mean it in that way. I mean it as in just advice in terms of getting good tips on taking your business forward. That's what I mean.
So, just a couple of questions going over to the audience over there. One of them is, what sort of ideas do you get Nabesh? What sorts of ideas do you have to get Nabesh out in the public to gain the users? So I suppose, what's the kind of the marketing that you're doing, and how are you getting people to know what it is that you're doing and gaining the traffic?
We are working, we are putting a lot of effort on everything that is online and digital. I think it's really the way forward. So we work on social media a lot, and some of the money that we're going to get.
You don't have it yet? It's no phone bill, no money. You sure?
Oops, actually, I shouldn't have said that. Some of the money that I want would be used for SEM. So we want to become regional, and we want people to hear about us. But I think that the beauty about a concept like Nebbish is because it's such a necessity. I found that word travels fast. So we don't have to make a lot of effort to get people to sign up and to convince people of the value that we're trying to offer, because at the end of the day, everybody needs to work, or everybody needs somebody to do a specific job for them. So from that sense, I mean, we are putting quite a bit of effort online, but that effort is paying off very well. So we're gonna continue doing that. I mean, we do a few strategic offline events where there will be a big impact. I think when the resources are scarce, whether it's time or money, it's very important to be in places where it's going to make the most impact.
Get well known. Let's move aside from the business and that at the moment, because obviously to be an entrepreneur, is not just about work. You've got to have the support and family in your case, and obviously in your case as well. Do you find that Muna, do you find that family and support from home plays a big part in progressing forward with your ideas and your passion for being an entrepreneur?
For sure. I mean, I think you should ask that question to Loulou, because I come from we're like third generation family business, but support is very important, even when you want to sort of like balance everything out from your family to work-wise, so you definitely need that support, and especially when you're like at the first stage of your entrepreneurial idea, and that's when.
And I suppose I was trying to get at is that obviously your kind of what you were doing with the entrepreneur show was slightly different to what the family business was about. So you've got the support and the belief in building the entrepreneur community from the family business and helped you then get your name out there and then hopefully start to get a following of new entrepreneurs and things. So that's what I was trying to get. And what about yourself? What about your family and their support?
Your family would suffer the most from being an entrepreneur, and I think it's very important to have a partner or a family that are extremely supportive. Yeah, it's key actually, because you need to have clarity of head, you need to be comfortable, you need to be able to work 15 hours on one day and not hear people complaining in the back of their minds, and it's important. I mean, sometimes you got to make sacrifices, maybe you might not go on holidays or so on, so it's very important to have support from your family.
That's good. So, okay, so we talked about before the show, we talked about the show. Let's talk a little bit now about moving forward. So we'll come to you, Muna. You've obviously just been on the show doing all those crazy hours filming. What have you got planned now to try and help bring that entrepreneur community together and look for those ideas?
Well, the show actually made me reflect on a lot of things. Where am I heading? What am I doing? Yes, I do get involved with a lot of mentorship programs. I do help a lot of young people, but I'd like to also help with building businesses. How can I make that happen? So I've already spoken to a few people who I believe, we could come together as, let's say, angel investors, where we can sort of put our money together and believe in ideas. And that's where we'll see more ideas come to the table, So that, for me personally, that's what I plan to do. And that's exactly what the show sort of, was self-reflection for me as to where I want to head from that.
And how much, money kind of question, how much would you say is a reasonable amount of money to invest in just an idea, just as kind of a seed capital? Is it kind of in the tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars?
It would make sense to be in hundreds of thousands if you wanted to grow, and it depends on how many investors there are, at the end of the day. Another thing that I'd like to see happen here is crowdfunding. You've got crowdfunding in the West where it's so easy for people to come together, even online, and just put whatever they can afford and make a business happen or an idea be executed. And I'd really, really like to see that happen here. There's a great, we spoke about this. Maybe I shouldn't speak about this because it's your idea.
No, it's not anymore, thanks. So no, what about, I think that, cheers guys, what I was going to say is, with the crowdfunding, I can ask you now rather than email you, is it legal? Is it something that you think is possible in the region? Because Kickstarter in the US, for example, I know I went through a few legal battles, but crowdfunding out here in the UAE, do you think it's going to face legal battles?
I have not looked into it, but I would guess that there's a lot of things that need to change in terms of legislation. Like, I can also tell you that social enterprise here is very difficult to develop, because legally it's very difficult to sort of, license yourself under a social enterprise. Social entrepreneurial ideas are not easy to execute here. So legally, yes, there are battles. I'm not sure about crowdfunding, but I'm guessing perhaps yes.
Well, someone's probably going to steal the idea now anyway. So. And what about yourself? What about the plans with you and moving forward?
To Muna's point, I think it's very important to have success stories and to have success stories from the region. And I think we need those. And it's very important, that's why it's very important to invest in a lot of ideas and a lot of entrepreneurs, and then hopefully 3 or 4 stories will come out and will be very successful. I think we're all very tired and bored of the Maktoub story. I mean, I think it's the only success story that I hear in this region. And I don't know why not. Why don't we have others? So hopefully there will be others. As for the plans for the future, I mean, scaling on all levels. We want to scale our user base. We want to be more regional. We want to scale our team and build the product. So on the technology up front as well, we're scaling to build more features to make the transactions on NetBish more trusted, to make the transactions more efficient. So yeah, scaling pretty much in everything.
When you say, you said that you're in the region, whereabouts are you at the moment?
We're currently, most of our communication efforts were in the UAE and in Lebanon, simply because I live here and I'm also Lebanese, so it was easy for me. But moving forward, we want to move to areas in the Levant, like Jordan and hopefully Syria soon, when the problems stop. And we also would love to be in Saudi Arabia. I mean, Saudi Arabia, by the way, I was looking at a research by Booz and Company recently. You know that 67% of university graduates are female. I mean, and we think that there's a huge market gap there, and they have a 25% labor participation rate. So even though 67% have university degrees, only 25% work.
I think that for Nabish, it's naturally the second market should be Saudi Arabia for those reasons.
So we think there's a massive gap there. So I think pretty much this region needs such a service, I think.
So, Muna, you've obviously got your day job looking after the family business. Have you got any plans to move more away from that and develop the crowdfunding idea or the investment angle or Dragon's Den? Have you got any ideas to kind of break away from the family business a little bit more to move into the entrepreneur market?
At the moment, I have a very big responsibility. I'm on the board of directors. I'm in the foundation, also charity foundation. So there's a lot going on. And we're also at the stage where we're integrating the third generation, which is so important for the second generation to be there to sort of like ensure that succession happens. So I would say that at the moment I have a very big responsibility. I wouldn't be able to just digress from that. But I'd definitely like to explore ways of doing it perhaps on the side.
I definitely think that, you know, moving forward, if there was more family businesses that were looking into the entrepreneur scene, we would start to see those companies, like you said. We need that success story. We need those companies to come out of this region, those ideas to boom and go towards the West. And then if they grow from the UAE, more other companies will come here and we'll get more of a success. So just to kind of like move away from that, we've been talking about with entrepreneurs. I suppose you get a lot of people now coming to you and saying, so what advice have you got for me, and how can you advise me into making my business success? What have you got that you can give to the guys here today as 3 points of advice?
Well, the first thing is that you have to be very serious about what you're doing, otherwise no one's going to take you seriously. And I think when I started Nabish, I quit my job to prove and basically to say that this is very serious. And I think through my days at the VC before, we met so many entrepreneurs that that want to start something, but they still have their full-time job. I mean, it's not going to happen. No one's going to give you money based on that, no matter what they tell you. And I think one of the other the top 3 participants in the entrepreneur show had this problem because they had full-time jobs and they have to start. So the first thing I would say that if you want to do something, just be very serious about it and prove to yourself and to everyone else that you're serious, and just do it. I mean, before I started Nabish, I don't know, maybe on a weekly basis, I had different ideas. I'd sleep, I wake up, oh, I have this idea, and I go tell people about it, but I never kind of took it forward, And I think the first step is just to start, whatever. Even if there is no business plan, or even if the idea is still taking shape in your head, or even if your mother or your husband thinks it's not good enough, just get started, and then things will shape up. And just have no plan B.
No plan B.
No plan B, no. Because if you have plan B, you have something to fall back on, and you're always going to feel comfortable in a sense. So you don't want to be comfortable starting up. You want to feel a little bit under pressure to deliver.
And what about you? What advice have you got for the guys today?
I would say stay focused, because I feel that a lot of people are going to ridicule your idea. And there is going to be sort of like people who will bring you down and say this is not, as you said, not a good enough idea, or you need to be doing your day job and getting a salary. So stick to it, even if you are ridiculed. I feel also dedication. I see a lot of successful young entrepreneurs that I have as friends. You know, I was telling Loulou again about it before we started. I know that they're even cleaning ovens. You know, they have an F&B, you know, restaurant or whatever they believe in, and at 10 o'clock at night they are cleaning the ovens, you know. So the dedication needs to be there. You know, if you're passionate about your idea, then you're going to be doing things like that, which may not be very glamorous, but you know, do what you enjoy and work on something that you enjoy. Yeah, and those are my two.
I want to say, actually, it's not glamorous at all, by the way, at all. And you have to. And this is another thing: is that you know you're the coffee boy, you're the photocopy maker, you're the person that's gonna run around get visas for people. You're begging other people to pay you, or you know begging someone to believe in your idea for you to hire them. So it's not glamorous. And the thing on Focus, by the way, I see that a lot, is that especially in places like Make, for example, it's a great place for entrepreneurs to meet, and there's a lot of ideas that go around. But I think focus is very important because you get caught with so many ideas, and I meet people that are trying to start a business but that are working on 5 different projects. I mean, come on, you know, it's not, how are you going to do that? I have one business and I barely have time to do anything else, so you can't work on 5 different businesses and start one of them, I think.
I think it's quite a good point what you said, to keep focused, and I think follow one course until successful is what they say. I've read many books and they all say the same thing.
Stick to it and build it, and then stay focused on it, and you're gonna get a lot of people with opportunities, and why don't you add this and why don't you do that, and it's you have to be focused.
Ignore the noise.
Ignore the noise. It's quite difficult in Dubai though to know sometimes.
Actually, I was speaking to someone today, he gave me advice, he's like, ignore the monkeys.
Ignore the monkeys?
Yeah.
Don't go to the zoo. Okay, we've got loads of questions coming in. I'm just going to reel off a couple of them. One of them is, what's the revenue model for Nabesh?
Nabesh has different revenue streams, have multiple revenue streams. One of them is transactional. So I spoke earlier about making the transaction between skill provider and employee a safer transaction. And part of making it safer is that we're going to offer an online service whereby we ensure that the person who is hiring has the money to hire, and we ensure the person that is actually doing the job will get paid. So, and we will take a fee on that service. So this is one of the ways, and the other ways would be to do advertising, and we have different advertising schemes that we're working on.
And are you, there's other kind of recruitment kind of companies in the market. How does what you're doing differ to that?
We're completely different. I mean, in recruitment agencies, their focus mainly is on the 9 to 5 jobs. We're more focused on skills and not job titles. So, when you sign up to Nabesh, you say, I'm a social media expert, or I'm a graphic designer, not I'm a marketing manager or an art director. So we're very much focused on skills. We are focused on project-based work, not full-time. We are focused on connecting people within a specific location. So we're very keen on using technology to enable connections. So when you sign up on Nabesh, we ask you to pin your location to a map, and we make use of that for you to be able to find people in your area.
I can personally vouch for that because organizations like at this point, and even let's say during a crisis, are looking for ways to cut down on their costs. So basically, I mean, we've taken on someone from Nabesh because for one of our brands, we wanted to cut down on our costs. We did not want to employ someone 9 to 5, and Nabesh was perfect.
And have they started yet?
Yes, they're into
well?
a few months now, yeah.
So for people obviously looking to get involved then, it's very simple, just go on the website and register?
It's so easy actually. It's funny enough that I get at least, 5 emails a week of people saying, hey Loulou, we're looking for a social media person, or we're looking, guys, go sign up, it's very easy, it's free. Post a job. I mean, if you don't, you can search for, you know, whatever you're looking for. If you don't find it, post a job, and people will apply. I mean, there were two guys as well here earlier on. The guy came from the US. He has a 2-day event tomorrow. He wrote me an email, naturally. He said, Loulou, I'm looking for 2 people to do video editing. I said, just go, post a job. He posted a job. He found 2 people for a job that is tomorrow and the day after, in 2 days. So it's very easy, very simple.
So it works. It works well.
It works very, very well.
Good.
Very well.
So let's just kind of look to bring this to a close and wrap up in terms of. Muna, we'll go to you first. If you had one thing that you could have done, which you haven't had the chance to do, is there anything that you would give to the audience as a bit of advice, maybe kind of different college routes or move to different countries or different experiences of travelling?
Well, I didn't have a chance to think about that, but I mean...
Sorry, it happens.
It's always good to get experience. I mean, I did get a little bit of experience outside, you know, whatever I'm doing right now, but it's always good to get real good experience for a few years before you know, I think so. I mean, Loulou also, you've had a few years experience, correct, before you started? Yeah, exactly. So you learn from that experience. So I would say definitely go down that route before starting your business.
I think if you have more experience, I mean, I could be wrong, but this is my theory, you have better chances at success. But it doesn't mean that if you're young, you know, and you're a fresh grad, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. You should try. But I think it's not easy, right? Because you need to be very familiar with financials and with marketing and with you know, building HR and all these. I mean, you can't. It's so difficult for someone who just, you know, graduated from university to be able to handle all of that.
I think that's something that's very important for people out there, is when you have experience, you actually get to meet people as well. You know, like you guys here, you've had the experience, and you said you've actually found work from a show, a went-over show that you were a judge on.
And if you're serious about a business, like I see a lot of young people thinking that they have a business, it's actually just a hobby, you know, because, you know, if you're serious about a business, then it's all about, you know, everything from HR to marketing to visas to all that kind of thing. So, you know, again, experience teaches you that.
I think if you can know a little bit about each angle of the business, not necessarily all of it, but a little bit about each, you get the experience to help move you forward. Okay, so have you got anything that you would just like to add to the guys here before we wrap up?
I would like to ask everybody here to check out nutbesh.com, obviously. If you're not already signed up on there, I would ask you to do so. And give us your feedback. We're constantly working on improving. We want to make it a successful company, and we're very serious about what people say about Nutbesh, and we always try to improve. So if you have any questions, come talk to us, email us. That's all.
And how about you, Muna?
I'd just say, I'd ask you, does everyone wake up in the morning very passionate about what they're doing, and are they passionate about their idea? The answer is yes, then you're definitely on the right path.
Yeah. We've got quite a few questions that have come in, mainly about the business model and about how the thing is structured. So if you can just look at the tweets and the hashtag and get in touch with the guys who've been tweeting through, and as well with you, Muna, if you can just keep in touch with everybody through the Make website and through Nutbesh, because I'm sure that there's a lot of people here today that have got that idea, maybe a few more now that are going to be looking to push into the entrepreneur market.
She's going to be hammered with business plans now, now that she said that she's not getting enough. But
just on the business plan side of things, would you say that a business plan straight off is the way forward, or is it more of a kind of a pitch deck to you to get an overview of the business rather than a detailed plan?
I would say even before the business plan, if you can sort of shadow somebody or be with a mentor and get that idea before coming to an investor. Because an investor at the end of the day will look at it and think, okay, is this going to be worthwhile my investment? But they're also going to look at other things. And so I think that mentor will be able to highlight, perhaps something that you do not see in your business plan.
And when are you going to be taking applications for investment? You got any?
Anytime.
How can people get in touch with you if they have got something that they want to send your way?
I think contact the head office and headquarters, and just drop me an email.
She's also on Twitter, so find her on Twitter and hassle her.
Cool. Well, guys, listen. Thank you very much for coming tonight. It's been a pleasure from my side. I'm sure the guys have enjoyed it too. And yeah, I wish you all the best. And Muna, I'm sure that we'll cross paths again soon on my crowdfunding idea. But guys, if we just put our hands together for the deal today.